Bottom line.
Oh, baby.
Keir Starmer is the third British Prime Minister that President Trump has worked with across his 2 terms. This meeting is finally underway after a little bit of what to do concerning Russia in Ukraine, what to do concerning Hamas in Gaza, and then, of course, these trade deals. The U.S. and the U.K. already made a trade deal, but it seems like President Trump is also going to be looking for a thank you from Mr. Starmer for the trade deal that he just struck with the U.K.'s neighbors in the EU, and we have the details. This new deal that took 75 minutes behind closed doors for negotiators to come to, in it, the EU is going to purchase $750 billion of U.S. energy. They're going to invest an additional $600 billion in the United States. They will expand purchases of American military equipment. The deal is going to drop the tariffs down to 15% on most European goods, but it's going to have a 0% tariff on American exports.
Okay, so we're picking up where we left off yesterday, and that is new reaction from this historic trade deal between the EU and the United States of America that was closed by President Trump. Now, this is a perfect example of the president keeping good on his promises, putting America first. And as a result of him doing that, you have people who are coming out and criticizing this deal. In fact, they say the EU has caved. It's an act of submission, and it's a dark day for Europe, which is why I have ground news here on the screen to show you that story. And again, we use ground news to see what the full picture is, see what both sides are saying, so we could think for ourselves. And if you want to follow along, just go to ground.news/Devore. Now, this criticism is being led by the French Prime Minister, and his beef is that there is a 15% tariff that will be imposed on EU exports and a 0% tariff imposed on American exports, which is just phenomenal. And I think that's the point that Fox Business was making. Take a listen to this.
This is a big week for not just congratulations to the president for getting the European deal signed, but now the China talks start today.
Yeah, which is very big.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take a step back and say this is pretty phenomenal what's happening. I mean, President Trump is basically resetting the terms of global trade single-handedly and in the face of unbelievable opposition from every economist, every think tank, every business saying you can't do it. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to ruin our economy. Look, a lot of this stuff is yet to be hashed out. The EU deal looks very good for the United States. There is a list of products where we're going to have 0 for 0 tariffs, like airplanes, airplane parts, chemicals, etc. That, I think, is incredibly important because hopefully, frankly, that list continues to expand because at the end of the day, you do want fewer barriers to trade, not more barriers to trade. So maybe that expands. But my gosh, what an unbelievable accomplishment. And I get that if you watch the press reaction to this yesterday, they couldn't believe it. They actually couldn't believe. And by the way, I heard a commentator on the radio this morning, a Brit, talking very nastily about this deal. I think a longtime trade negotiator for Britain, I think that he thinks they caved. I think they did cave. They had to.
And that is the bottom line about this entire trade deal is what was the alternative for the EU Commission? Right? To get into a trade war with the United States of America, that would not be good for them whatsoever. And the cool thing about ground news, when you search up stories like this one, it gives you the bottom line in bullet points. And the final bullet point on the screen, it says the agreement signals a challenging future for EU exporters and a power imbalance favoring the U.S., raising concerns of increased prices and market losses, while some European leaders welcome the deal as avoiding worse outcomes. So just in that bullet point alone, you could see the full picture of what's taking place here. Now, there's a huge benefit to this trade deal that we're about to get to in this next clip, but I just want you to understand something. If you want to be able to think for yourself and do your own research, use a tool like Ground News. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devore, or you can download the mobile app, just use promo code Devore, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
And there is this $750 billion investment in U.S. energy that's part of this. Is that part of Europe's plan to wean itself away from Russian energy?
Well, when I served as ambassador, we were trying desperately to get Europe to abandon Nord Stream 2 and buy energy from us. And, you know, back then they were hooked on cheap Russian gas. They didn't think that Russia posed a threat to Europe. Look how a few years have changed things. So now they don't want to buy from Russia. They want to buy from the U.S. This is something that is tailor-made for this kind of a deal. And I think very soon you're going to see what's, you know, was known as a transatlantic highway of LNG tankers going across the Atlantic to Portugal or to other ports and depositing, you know, large amounts of LNG. And we will become the dominant supplier to Europe, which is in Europe's benefit and it's in our benefit. And it really, really screws Russia, which is exactly the goal.
So as you can see here, there's a bigger picture at play. And just maybe President Trump knows exactly what he's doing. Maybe the media should finally give him credit for his tariff strategy, for what he's doing with these trade negotiations. Now, what's interesting is out of all people who finally are coming out and admitting this, who represent the left, it's none other than Bill Maher who's willing to finally tell the truth. Take a listen to this.
Tariffs. Now, I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, oh, you know, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think of how the country was, the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen. Now, it could happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty. Because the truth is, I don't know what his strategy is. But look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I gotta own it, that these tariffs were going to fucking sink this economy by this time, and they didn't.
So Bill Maher is coming to grips with something we call results. As you guys know, I say this almost in every single episode, results tell the story. It's how we produce the show, okay? Our thinking on this show and how I react, I want to gauge my opinion based on what the results say, not on what I think is going to happen or based on conspiracy theories, because there's a lot of that out there. And I'm not saying none of that has value. I just think that people would be best served in their analysis, in their reaction and opinions, if they first start with the results. Okay, and the results show that Democrats are way off. They have no idea who they are and where they're going. Mainstream media continues to make the same mistake over and over. They don't know how to cover President Trump in a fair way. And 3, President Trump has accomplished more in 6 months than Joe Biden did in 4 years. That is an example of results. So anybody can have an opinion, but results is a good place to start if you want to offer up a fair analysis. Now, speaking of that, how does the American people feel about what President Trump's been up to, especially foreign policy-wise? Take a listen to this.
The president has shifted on Vladimir Putin. The president has received criticism on foreign policy in general, but what do voters seem to say?
Yeah, this one was a surprising one to me, given everything that's going on in Russia, what happened in Iran, what happened in Gaza. But the bottom line is Democrats in the American voters' minds cannot hack it. What are we talking about? Party trust tomorrow in foreign policy. Well, the GOP holds an average 6-point lead in the month of July. Look at this. Fox News came out last week, plus 3 points for Republicans on foreign policy over the Democrats. You think that number is not high enough for you? How about the Wall Street Journal? GOP plus 8 points when they match congressional Democrats up against congressional Republicans. The bottom line is this. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, Republicans are more trusted on Democrats when it comes to foreign policy and the world at large.
Now, I believe one of the main reasons why the numbers are continuing to be positive for Republicans, because they are not delusional to the same degree as Democrats are. I mean, think about it. Democrats are seriously considering endorsing a socialist communist candidate for New York City mayor. They are the same people who believe boys can play in girls' sports, They're the same people who believe that men can give birth. They are the same people who have zero restrictions on abortion. They're the same people who put illegal aliens ahead of American citizens. We can go on and on and on.
How has this changed, or how does this compare to during the campaign?
Yeah, again, this to me was a surprising number, since Donald Trump said he'd come in and broker all these peace deals, and while he's brokered some, he hasn't obviously brokered one between Ukraine and Russia, and obviously the situation in Gaza. But take a look here. Trust more in foreign policy. You go back to 2024, Trump had a 6-point advantage over Kamala Harris. Again, look at the average right now. It hasn't moved despite everything that's going on in the world. You see Republicans plus 6 points here. And this goes back to a larger issue that we have discussed over and over again here in the mornings. Despite any misgivings that the American public might have about Donald Trump, when you match up Republicans against Democrats, Donald Trump against Democrats, still at this particular point, they are doing significantly better than you might expect. And when it comes to the issue of foreign policy, again, what you see is, in the American voters' minds, Democrats simply put can't hack it. More voters trust Republicans on foreign policy, very much like they did back during the 2024 campaign.
Yeah, you heard him right. Democrats can't hack it because they are too obsessed with President Trump. I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to have to say this again. They have taught us one of the biggest life lessons ever. Do not obsess with someone you hate, because that means that hate will consume you and blind you from making common sense decisions. And that's exactly what Democrats lack. No question about it. And of course, we have to address the part of the Wall Street Journal poll that said that independents are down and out on President Trump. Well, listen, the reason why that is because mainstream media continues to lie about the president every step of the way. And it takes time until the truth is finally exposed to independents, or they finally make a decision to do their own research. And I think this next poll is a great example of that. Take a listen to this.
What about the strikes on Iran? Because while they were being contemplated, they were not universally popular.
No, they were not universally popular, and in the immediate aftermath, they were not universally popular. Look at this. Net approval rating, U.S. airstrikes on Iran. In late June, the net approval rating, look at that, -8 points underwater. But as the American people learned more and more about it, look at this. A 10-point rise. Now it's in the positive. The American people like the move that Donald Trump put on Iran, the U.S. airstrikes in Iran, a positive +2 net approval rating. So again, the bottom line is this. As the American people learn more about these airstrikes, as the American people compare Donald Trump and the Republicans against the Democrats, they see them far more favorably than you might expect.
And that's exactly what I would expect to happen. It's the one thing that Donald Trump has about him that no other politician has experienced. Social media, mainstream media, people just in general, academia, has lied about the president so much that most people don't even know what to think when it comes to President Trump. And when they finally do their research, they find that the media is lying at least 95% of the time about the president, about things that are just stupid, and they are violating ethical principles as it pertains to journalism. So I'm not shocked that the numbers have improved. They will continue to improve for the president because he is results driven. And once people, particularly independents, do their research, they will be on the side of the president more than they will be for Democrats. And now we go to our next story. The president, during his meeting with PM Starmer, was asked about Gaza. And we're talking about women and children who have been starving. Most experts are calling it a humanitarian crisis. Doesn't matter whether you believe that to be true or not. The results show that people are starving. So this is what the president had to say. Take a listen to this.
Mr. President, Mr. Trump talked about setting up food centres in conjunction with other organisations. Right. You talking about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation or recognised aid agencies? How will this work?
Well, it's going to be working with the United States. We'll be helping with the food. We have a lot of access to food. We got a lot of food ourselves. And we're going to bring it over there. We're also going to make sure that they don't have barriers stopping people. You've seen the areas where they actually have food. And the people are screaming for the food, and they're 35, 40 yards away, and they won't let them because they have lines that are set up. And whether they're set up by Hamas or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids are That's real starvation stuff. I see
This
it.
can't take us straight to 20.
And
We gotta take
you
20,
can't
right?
fake that.
Oh, this gonna
So
take
we're
us
going
to
to be even more involved. We did some airlifts before, some airdrops, and the people are running for it. And the Prime Minister is going to help us. They're very effective with that. You've done that before, and for many, they've done that for 100 years very well. So it's not very hard to do, actually.
Okay, so let's just cut to the chase. There are a multitude of opinions here, and they differ vastly, starting with the president and the White House. They say that sending money and aid to Gaza is the right thing to do. Democrats say that America should stop sending weapons and support to Israel, and we should recognize Palestine as a second state. And then you have a certain amount of conservatives on the right who support what Israel is doing. They don't care if it takes 10 years, women and children are dying in the process, who have really nothing to do with this war. As long as Hamas is erased, it does not matter the cost. And then you have Christian conservatives who say, hey, wait a minute, we understand Israel needs to defend themselves.
I can hear you.
Hey, Douglas.
Yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow I'll be home. It just, at 10 o'clock, I've got a call that I have to be on.
Okay.
And then at 11 o'clock, I have another call, so I'll be there. But it'd be best if you call my cell number.
Okay.
10 minutes before you get there, so I can try to get off the phone or go down and greet you. But I know I'll be free between 10:30 and 11. I have no calls
Okay.
at that time.
All right.
So you're just trying to, you think, unless you want to get there at 9:30.
I'm coming from Dahlonega, so I'll be coming down.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm giving you that window, but I'll text you when I'm headed that way.
Yeah. Try to aim for 10:30. That's the best time. That way I can spend a half hour with you.
Yeah, I'm quite sure. I think I know what it is. It shouldn't be that long.
Okay. All right. Well, just call me on the cell phone before you arrive. Okay.
Sure thing.
All right. Okay. Real good. All right. Thanks. All right. Bye.
Talking about this traffic, man. Talk about suck up the air, huh? Dang, it's tough.
It's already 5 and 20, man. Around this time, it's a wrap. Bring out your protection.
The humanitarian aid operations and then you have people who say, well, wait a minute, the aid is there, but the UN is not distributing the aid properly. So whose fault is that exactly? That's not Israel's fault. And then you have a side of conservatives who say what Israel is doing is a genocide. They've gone too far. Netanyahu needs to be thrown in prison. So here's my question to you. Which opinion do you hold about this entire conflict? Do you support what the president is doing? One thing's for sure, Netanyahu disagrees with the reports that there is a starvation occurring in Gaza. Take a listen to this.
President Donald Trump telling reporters a humanitarian crisis in Gaza is, quote, one of the main reasons for his meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The two are meeting in this moment. He also was asked about comments from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Prime Minister saying there is no starvation in Gaza. Here's exactly what he said yesterday. Take a listen.
Israel is presented as though we are applying a campaign of starvation in Gaza. What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza.
So the president moments ago was asked whether he agreed with those claims from Netanyahu.
Based on television, I would say not particularly, because those children look very hungry, but we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food, and other nations are now stepping up. I know that this nation is. Right
it's
here.
a humanitarian crisis.
Right.
It's an absolute catastrophe. And nobody wants to see that. And I think people in Britain are revolted at seeing what they're seeing on their screens.
Yeah. Okay, so Starmer makes a good point. It's a PR problem for Israel. Doesn't matter if the photos or videos are fake or real. Doesn't matter. What matters is the way people felt on October 7th is different than the way people feel today. I went over the differences of opinion. I mean, there are people today that it's their business to criticize Israel. That's how much things have changed.
Images matter, and what the world saw were pictures of starving children.
Yeah.
This was too much, even for some of Israel's closest allies, both in Europe and the United States as well. I'm sure there was pressure from Washington being put on Jerusalem, and in fact, there's reports that the Israeli embassy here in Washington realized that a diplomatic catastrophe was happening. But the bottom line is that this was a deliberate Israeli policy of starvation, something, first of all, the U.S. would never do.
Yeah.
And two things. One is the immorality of that, but number two is it didn't work. You know, the war is not over. The hostages have not returned, and we're still at this impasse. And whether you blame Hamas for this or the Israeli government, the bottom line is people are starving in Gaza, and the world finally actually said, no, that's enough.
But one thing is for sure, Democrats' response to this is to seize all weapons and offensive support from America to Israel. That's what they think we should do. And before I show you the clip of the Democrats saying that, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section about what do you believe America should do moving forward? What would you have President Trump do in response to what's currently happening? Now, here's that clip of Senator Van Hollen claiming that he would support seizing all weapons to Israel from America. Take a listen.
So, just so I have this clear, are you suggesting the United States cease military aid or the sale of weapons to Israel so long as this starvation in Gaza continues?
Well, what I was referring to right now, John, was the fact that we're spending money to create this alternative private organization backed by mercenaries that has created these deaths. I do believe that we should pause offensive military assistance to the Netanyahu government, so long as the Netanyahu government is engaged in what is clearly a strategy to use food as a weapon of war and to try to use it for population control. We've heard members of the Netanyahu coalition just in the last couple days talk about essentially taking over Gaza, pushing the Palestinians out of Gaza entirely.
Yeah, and this actually takes us to another statement by the president, but it's in regards to Russia. Just like Netanyahu, Putin is going to do what he wants to do. They both have a great relationship with President Trump, but that doesn't mean they're going to take orders from him. And people need to accept that reality. And I think President Trump is accepting that reality, especially publicly, because he just said this.
And you'll sense your frustration.
You have a message.
All I know is we'd have a good talk, and it seemed on, let's say, 3 occasions, it seemed that we were going to have a ceasefire and maybe peace, and you divide it up and you do whatever you have to do, that obviously to get to the end. And all of a sudden, missiles are flying into Kiev and other places. And I say, what's that all about? I spoke to him 3-4 hours ago, and it looked like we were on our way, and then I'd say, forget it, and I'm not going to talk anymore. You know, this has happened on too many occasions, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Earlier you said that you were going to change the deadline from 50 days.
Yeah, I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
So, what are you here to resurrect today, Mrs. Clinton?
Of course, he was heavily sedated. I didn't have words with him. I did talk to his family. They're devastated. It's just a shock to the soul.
You know, I got my other brother right here too.
Oh, yeah.
Junior, stand up. Yeah. He does all our social media, so all the stuff you've been seeing, that's him. 100 mil I needed, the glory I needed. I took L's but walked around like I was undefeated. I saw no results, I still woke up and chased it. They told me to find myself, instead I want to find a way. No second.
Everybody got on jury. Even the baby got a little something. We ready now.
When are we gonna be there?
Afterwards.
Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Honey, good.
Hey,
Kim is
Sam.
going to be your nurse again.
Okay.
So she'll be right in, okay?
So let me tell you what's going on right now. Right now, in the hospital, I don't even know what time it is. But getting ready to have a surgery on bladder.
Hello, sir.
There she go.
You just keep meeting like this.
No, unfortunately.
How are you? Oh, I like that. Got your nice warm robe on for the day.
She's been awesome.
No.
She's
Sorry
a
you're
blessing.
here.
Yeah, me too.
But you know what? You're in great hands.
It is.
They take good care of you.
I'm gonna get into that.
You're gonna get into this. Don't put anything in your pockets. Okay. Let me get you some warm wipes.
It's been wonderful. You can tell by the familiarity that we've been here before. I can't even get myself to say it. Like, what's going on?
We are at the hospital because we are dealing with
Dating her now, Kaluchi training.
We already know. Move on next.
Okay, are they dating? That's the question out there now. Or is she just friends?
we are dealing with bladder cancer.
He's dying.
And
He's dying. That's what's happening. He's chasing all these women.
Bladder removed.
He's dying. Let's just face it.
And they will create a new bladder with one of his intestines. And this option was, I guess, the best because it fully removes the cancer to ensure that it doesn't come back.
It's gonna go somewhere else.
Because it was close to his muscle. So yeah, we are here to fully remove the bladder.
She in there with it?
Texting the boys. It's their first day of practice today, and I'm excited. This is kind of the first day that we've been apart for a long time. I love you, son, and proud of you. And can't wait to hear today went. Gotta get ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready mentally, emotionally. Last night was tough. Yesterday was tough. Because I had to make a will. That's not easy at all. To think that you may not be here. But you want to make sure everybody's straight.
This is number 14, by the way.
Surgery?
Yeah. Since
Every
2021.
couple of years, he gets surgery.
I don't know. It's 2025. Ooh. How do you feel? There you go. All set.
We're so lucky I went and counted last night. I went in your chart. 14.
What? Surgery's here?
2021.
What?
So the room that you guys are going into this afternoon, you still feel safe where you're living?
Safe?
Yeah.
Yep, sure do.
You don't have any jewelry on you?
Nope.
Okay. You didn't bring any knives, guns, pepper spray, alcohol, drugs with you?
Brought a good old
Just
sign.
going to Junkie.
I brought a good old sign.
I said no, but a Sunday, but I was fucking.
You know, he has a gun. Son got guns.
All right, they ordered some labs, so I'm going to draw those at the time as we do your IV.
I don't even really know how to do this. I just grabbed it. This game, I just put this in here, right? Like that?
Yep. In that little hole.
You gotta get all the blood.
Yeah.
So why we got 4?
We can take his A1C or
What for?
did the doctor have to order that?
Too.
I mean, all the needles.
Oh, this is just for your blood sugar. This is the number, so you
yeah.
don't feel it. And this is what's going to collect it all.
How do I feel right now? I really don't.
What was ice?
I'm okay. Thank you.
I have emotions.
She's on the shot, right?
Seem like this is pretty routine.
Yeah, she just got a job on the shot.
Been long said this is surgery number 14.
Karuchi is that girl. She get with those guys.
Something like that.
Next thing you know, she's off. Chris Brown. She's Chris Brown.
That really hit me here.
This is Chris Brown's ex-girlfriend.
What I'm here
That's not with Beyonce.
for. Hit me a little bit yesterday
And
because
where's Tracy Edmonds? I thought they were together.
I had to write out a will.
Yeah.
At the Oldham, yeah.
And I had 2 people that
While drinking tap water.
witnessed. Mom was one of
I
them.
made it this
You
far.
invest in this fucking relationship.
It's gonna be
and then all
straight
of a
signs, I'm
sudden
good.
you decide you don't want to be
I ain't trying to think about that, man.
decide you don't want to be in there.
What do people think and feel at this point?
I know.
Elaborate.
I have no thoughts, I have no feelings, I have no emotions. Like, what do you think and feel? I think I've been in surgery so many times that I'm numb to.
The process.
True.
Sometimes it's a coping mechanism to not be able to put your face in.
Probably so.
Yeah, that's okay. Take that time to
Which is definitely
process
is.
it.
I think last time when you got your the results, me and you just kept cracking jokes. Yeah, and then the next day I just lost my mind. It just hit me out of nowhere. Like when you're right, you know.
This is the same pre-op room that they took me in to take my cancer out last summer. So it's good to do.
You're in room 21?
Good morning.
Hi!
There she goes.
How are we?
Excellent.
Excellent. The prime of her field. Oh boy. There's him. Oh boy.
I like that. That statement right there put me over the top.
Well, you know what today is? It's a great day to cure cancer. Let's get it, baby.
Amen.
All right, what questions do we have before I go over the permission form?
None.
None at all.
Let's go.
Okay. All right, I have to tell you all the really horrible things that can happen. Okay? Most of the time they don't. All right? I'll let you hold this.
Good.
So remove bladder, that inside of the prostate, pelvic lymph nodes, just a few, and making the bladder. Right? The biggest risk of all of these is infection. Right? If you have any fevers or chills, you need to call me and let me know right away. Need for additional treatments or procedures. If we find something in the lymph nodes or something like that, we would absolutely recommend chemotherapy or immunotherapy afterwards. Okay? Urinary retention means you're not able to empty. Urinary incontinence, and we talked about the nighttime incontinence. Questions?
I got a question. I thought the whole point of this procedure was so it wouldn't be recurrent.
Correct. But if we find something we're not expecting, like especially something in the lymph nodes, that could change the risks of recurrence a lot. That's why we really found, because there's about a 5 to 10% chance with the pathology we started with that there's something in the lymph nodes.
So with that, when you just mentioned pathology again, when you guys take out the bladder, are you guys sending that as well for another?
We'll send the bladder and we'll send the lymph nodes and we'll send that to the pathologist. This time it's probably going to take about 2 to 3 weeks, so all we can do is recover and we'll deal with whatever they find later. Okay? Questions?
Good question, girl, son.
You ready?
I was born that way.
All right, let's go. You're welcome. I'll see you back there, okay? My husband should be out to talk to you very soon.
Family affair. Family affair. I love it.
And then one more question. How many, or how long, you said 4 to 5 hours?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Till he's out?
Yep. Yep, and then I'll come talk to you guys whenever we're done.
Okay, that over?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I always try to keep in the family. I did a live one of these to 400 urologists, and he did the anesthesia for it, so he's my man. Okay. Questions, concerns?
Nope.
Anything I can do for you right now?
We've been down this road 20-some times.
Yeah. I'll wait for anesthesia to come in, chat with you, and then I'll give you that heparin.
Okay.
At 7:03, plan to roll back at your OR nurse will probably be out here about 7:20, 7:25. Get back to the OR by 7:30.
Yes.
Okay. Get it.
What questions do you have for me, sir?
I got questions.
I knew I was going to ask some questions. If they need to do further treatments, we'll have to. They'll take them out when they're in there today. If there's irregular cells in them.
Oh, while they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Just the lymph nodes like around the bladder area. It shouldn't have. Just because I don't know if you know anything about like when cancer gets in the lymph nodes, it spreads like wildfire. Yeah, because there's like so many.
They couldn't check that.
Well, they wouldn't have taken them out at the first one. They were just more worried about the mass itself. But today they'll see it. Because I think they're kind of hidden. What she explained to me is that they're kind of hidden too, like around the bladder. And I think disruption, they didn't want to disrupt more than they did the last time.
Because did she say they're for sure gonna find something?
She says there's a good chance.
But then she said 5 to 10%.
That because from the last pathology, right? That it could have something in it as well.
But she's saying it with a for sure tone, and you're talking about 5 to 10%.
Yeah, I know.
That makes sense.
I agree with you with that.
So if they find something today, they'll take it out today.
Correct. And send it with the bladder
right
to.
Away, would they need for the info? Sorry, I don't.
No. They'll just send it with pathology up to wherever they send it to. Yeah.
And
with the bladder. Yeah. Well, no, that'll take 2 to 3 weeks.
So now we gotta wait 2 to 3 weeks to see.
So when we come back for his, because we need to come back. When we come back for his follow-up.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to say it again. When we come back for his follow-up on the 21st or 22nd, when they take out the catheter, they'll have the results then. That should be 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if she knows.
Find something, then there has to be another.
They'll talk about another treatment if it's in the lymph nodes. So he got a third option. It's called Anderson MD. It's a oncology down in Texas, in Houston. So he got a second opinion, and there was a third option treatment. It was just it was a more of aggressive chemical treatment versus like the first option that we had. Again, not guaranteed, could come back kind of like the same issue.
Like more chemo or?
Yeah, it sounded like it was just like way more aggressive. But that's what kind of, after talking to him and then talking to the people that were on it, it's kind of like solidified his mind, because I guess we didn't really know. They kind of, not that they downplayed it for us, but right, it's not in his muscle, but it's like a very aggressive. He's got a very aggressive away from it. Mm-hmm. But it's like the type that he has is very aggressive, like very, very aggressive. He said, I think it was not downplayed to us, but I don't think we understand like how aggressive it actually was or is. So after hearing that, because I was with Bucky, kind of wanted the first option, right? Like wanted him to try it, but after hearing how aggressive it was, probably a good thing, honestly.
Since I'm here, I might as well go get my footwork though.
You can tell the people not outside your foot.
Whoa, you're not rubbing your foot?
Wait.
That's what you tell people
When
now.
your son said to me yesterday, he goes, I think my dad thinks I'm an idiot because he's walking out of the hospital. I know it's not your foot.
Get this procedure done. God is going to sustain you. and maintain that.
For sure.
We're gonna come back better than ever. Go to Texas, relax in the country, at the ranch, kind of rehab there, get myself together there, so we can take long walks, fish. So I have a catheter for a couple of weeks. And like I can go nowhere with a pee bag hooked onto me.
Be in the bag for a couple of weeks before he finds out about the bladder.
Never
Oh no, because they got to do reconstruction surgery.
Never actually got
Turn
why.
his intestines into a bladder.
I like to know his purpose. So I can.
Come on in.
There you go, my man.
Doc, what's up?
How are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Can't complain.
Good, how are you guys? Things considered. Good.
Yeah.
I'm going to be your nurse throughout your procedure today, okay? My name's Amanda. It's nice to meet you.
I think for an athlete, like when you get close, you start getting like ready. It's like, because it's a game, it's a challenge. It's like, let's go. Let's go do this. Okay, son, I want you to pray.
You ready?
Yep.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for waking us up this morning, Lord. Forgive us for our sins, Lord. Please just watch over the doctors, watch over my dad, watch over everybody in this room. Bless their hands, Lord. Just give them the knowledge and wisdom to do what they got to do. We know you're in control of everything. You said ask and you will receive, so we're asking for a very successful surgery, and let them not find anything. It is what it is. That's what we'll be doing. Thank you for everything.
Good.
Yeah.
You're a blessing. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
The spirit is.
Be praying for you. You got this. You got this.
Yes, we do. Come on, everybody got something going on. We better be happy right here. We happy. Everybody happy? You good?
You good? How you doing?
That's right, we good. Everybody good? You good too?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, we good. All right. Everybody got to perk up right here.
See part two? No. That's all we did again.
I appreciate you all coming today. Thank God that we're here today. We're going to get started with sort of like a timeline on what's all has been transpiring. I know you probably thinking something's going to happen today that ain't going to happen. I don't know where you get the news from. But we're going to kind of break it down to you like we did our team. And it was so wonderful seeing the team yesterday. My God, it was so darn wonderful. Bucky compiled a wonderful video to let them know every step of the way so we wouldn't have to explain every detail, but it was phenomenal. I wish we could show you all that same video. It was extraordinary. I think Bucky's going to put it on his YouTube channel soon after this, but let's get started. Let's kind of get them, let's walk them through. Can we do that? Is that okay with you all? Can we walk you through? Let's go, Law.
Okay, so as you guys know, Coach has his other health issues, his vascular stuff. So every year, Coach goes for a CT scan of his vascular pattern to make sure, the blood clots are away. So with this scan, everything turned out really great from the vascular side. About 2 weeks later, we get a text from his primary care doctor that said, I need to talk to you and Coach. We need to refer you guys to a urologist. So about 3 days later, we go see a urologist. They go in for a quick procedure. The urologist told us, hey, within 10 minutes, I can tell you guys if he's gonna need another procedure or if we just need to do these follow-up appointments. And the doctor told us, okay, you guys are going to need another procedure. I'm going to refer you to my colleague, Dr. Kurkasia. But at this point, you have a bladder tumor. And
Oh.
Guys, ahead of time, but I'm definitely telling the truth. You can look it up yourselves because you're going to think, how could it be so? And of course, it's about Brigitte. And it also involves another man with a very particular skill set, I would say, involving my lawsuit. And when I tell you what this man is known for, you're just going to pass away. That's how I felt when I was reading this. I was like, I'm done here. Also, Dan Bongino is in the news. He is the deputy director of the FBI. He was trending over the weekend for sending a tweet that essentially was signaling that he saw something in the deep state that has scared him, and everyone's wondering what it is. I have an idea of what it might be, so let's just go ahead and say the quiet part out loud. Welcome back to Candace. Been a lot of people wondering where his voice has been throughout all the Epstein stuff, in particular because back when he was a podcaster, he had a very big podcast, he made it a very big deal. He's like, we need the Epstein files. We have to release the Epstein files. A lot of people are circulating old clips of him and Kash Patel demanding that the files be released. And suddenly we get this, oh, never mind, whiplash. Nobody wants the files released. Everybody move on. And people are going, wait a minute, Dan Bongino. We trusted you. We listened to you. We listened to your podcast for years. Why aren't you speaking out? Suddenly, he gets pulled in to become the deputy director of the FBI, and people are wondering if what happens when you join the deep state is that you become part of its apparatus. The Epstein fumble happens, and people are waiting, crickets. Suddenly, over the weekend, he rather mysteriously tweeted this. He tweeted, during my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers that we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth, not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. So what is it that Dan Bongino has learned or Dan Bongino has seen as a part of his investigations that have shocked him to his core, that it's made him come out and say, I will never be the same again? Me and my team were debating it, different directions. They think maybe it has to do with his investigations pertaining into the Russian collusion hoax. There's some indication of that. He retweeted an article pertaining to the Russian collusion hoax. Shortly thereafter, 2016 intel report regarding the Kremlin preferring the GOP over Dems, and now it says, it's not the truth. But is that really going to shock him to his core? If you find out that the deep state lied about Russian collusion, which we already know, is that enough to make you go, I will never be the same after learning this? No, we know they lie. We know they lied about Hunter Biden's laptop, right? And a bunch of them signed on and said, it's totally Russia. It's Russia's fault. It's always Russia's fault. Yeah, we get it. If all else fails, blame Russia. I am hoping that he's just going to come out and be like, hey, the world is run by sexual deviants. They're in our government, this government, everybody's government has got them. Because that's kind of what makes the most sense for me, especially in the context of everything that we're learning about Epstein and this huge cover-up. Ghislaine Maxwell, what's going on in France, Brigitte Macron, Emmanuel suing Candace Owens because she's getting close to finding out what exactly. Perhaps that all of it's really connected. Epstein, Brigitte, Ghislaine. Suddenly the world seems to be dialed into that fact, and things are reaching a bit of a fever pitch, which brings me to a really crazy story, you guys. Obviously, we are globally viral. Everyone's watching the Becoming Brigitte series. from here to Tokyo and everywhere in between, trying to figure out what on earth has happened, what on earth has that woman said in Tennessee that has caused the sitting president of France to sue her all the way in the United States. What's going on here? Well, in France, obviously Brigitte is hitting the ground hard, or sending people out rather to hit the ground hard and basically try to spin why it is that they're doing this, right? The French press is obviously terrified to speak about this issue in any way other than signaling that it's a conspiracy. And Brigitte had someone close to her, close to the office, a man named Eric Dupond-Moretti, speak on her behalf about this case. He has declared this to be a state issue, right? This could potentially bring the French Republic to its knees, and that is what he is communicating in this interview. He's sitting down with the journalist, and it's like, why would you sue this podcast in the United States? Well, just so you know, he's about to clarify, this is a state issue. And he comes up with this utterly demented logic as to why it's a state issue. I'm not going to read his entire back and forth. You can find it on Xavier Poussard's X, but I'll read you a portion of it because it's quite funny, actually. This is his theory. He's sitting down with Sophie Nomayer, and she says to him, "You make the connection with Candace Owens, who herself is known for being a far-right blogger." Eric responds, "The reality is that the man named Poussard will export his rumors across the Atlantic, and it's Candace Owens who will gather them. And not only will she gather them, but with unimaginable firepower, she will spread them." Sophie asks, 7 million subscribers, Eric says. 7 million subscribers, and what we see, and it's probably a coincidence, is that first of all, she supports Marine Le Pen against the President of the Republic. She said, "I don't understand why the French didn't elect Marine Le Pen. Whatever, but above all else, she is close to Marion Maréchal." Now, for those of you guys who don't know who Marion Maréchal is Marine Le Pen. That's her niece. So Marine Le Pen is the person that Emmanuel Macron ran against for president. And he is correct. I think way back when it went down, when he was running, I did say that French should elect the conservative. Because I'm a conservative. Anyways, he's now going, her niece, Marion Maréchal. Candace knows her. And so Sophie asks him, "How do we know?" And Eric replies, "Because Marion Maréchal, in reality, is going to have Candace speak at a right-wing convention that she organized in September of 2019. Marion Maréchal, her account, forgive me, is one of 98 accounts that is followed by Owens. Maréchal invited her followers to follow Owens, and then they make the Charter pilgrimage together after Owens converted to Catholicism." Sophie's not following him. He's like, "Okay, I don't understand. You're saying that Candace spoke at a random convention in Paris. Marion Maréchal was there. They follow each other on social media, and Candace converted to Catholicism. What is that to do with anything?" Now he's mentioning the Charter pilgrimage, I did that Catholic pilgrimage. This is true in France. This is when he explains. She says, "What do you mean, Eric?" Eric responds, "I mean that they know each other very well. I mean that they see each other, that they are close to each other. And I believe you see, madame, that there is no such thing as chance in life. As Paul Eluard said, there are only encounters." Okay, so he goes on to explain how through the Charter pilgrimage, somehow, because Marion Maréchal was apparently also on this pilgrimage. Now, I did not talk to her, I did not speak to her. It's like 26,000 people marching. And apparently she does it every year. I did it once after I converted to Catholicism, and I hadn't seen her or spoken to her or heard of her since 2019 when I met her at that event. But he's connecting the dots that Russia is somehow involved in funding the end of the French Republic through the Catholic Charter pilgrimage because they want to collapse Emmanuel Macron and install Marine Le Pen, and they want to end the Republic. Yeah, it's totally demented, okay? But more demented is who this person is himself, okay? Who Eric Dupond-Moretti is himself. Because you need to understand, this is not casual, okay? He is publicly representing that he's working with the U.S. attorneys that are suing me to help this investigation, and he is not an average lawyer, okay? Eric Dupond-Moretti, this signals that Brigitte is bringing in the big guns. He is the former Justice Minister of France, okay? So think of that as like the Attorney General of France, handpicked by Brigitte herself. And when she handpicked him, it caused outrage all throughout France. And if you want to know why, It's because, like I said at the top of the show, Eric has a unique skill set. In other words, the cases that Eric takes on as an attorney, the cases that he tends to intervene in, have a common theme. I'm going to briefly tell you about just a couple of these cases. You can look him up independently. I'm not painting a picture here. This is crazy. The first one is known as the Manouche affair. Okay, the Manouche affair refers to a man. His name was Dennis Manouche. He meets a young woman when he's young as well, a teenager. Her name is Lawrence. They decide they're going to get married and begin a life together. They immediately start having some children. Okay. Now, Dennis Manouche is a very skilled engineer. He climbs the ladder at an automobile company and he becomes a senior executive. Him and Lawrence have 5 children. And I'm going to make it very easy for you because I'm going to put together a chart so that you can follow the story. They have 3 girls. Virginie, she's the eldest. She's born in 1981. And then they have Betty, and they have a daughter named Samantha. They also have 2 boys. Their names are Tony and Dimitri. You can keep this up, Skylar, as I keep talking, just so they can follow this. Okay, so Lawrence, his wife, apparently, she just loves to spend money, okay? And Dennis is happy to allow her to spend money so long as they come to an understanding together. And that understanding is she can spend, he won't ask questions, so long as she looks the other way while he rapes their daughters.
What?
I'm not kidding, okay? Viewer discretion advised, okay? Listener discretion advised. This is the agreement that they come to. And so he begins to do this in earnest to Betty when she's just 8 years old. Virginie witnesses it. They both go to their mother, and their mom just ignores it because this is the agreement. Betty, okay, that is the younger sister, becomes pregnant from her father 3 times between the ages of 13 and 18 years old. And each time they take her to a different hospital because, you know, she's got to get an abortion, but they also want to avoid any suspicion. They want the hospital to think that she's just like, you know, a girl that sleeps around a lot, teenager that sleeps around. They go to 3 different hospitals. Needless to say, it's not just physical abuse. The father is also psychologically abusive. He decides to treat Betty, the one who's been pregnant 3 times, as like the hoe of the family. He has a favorite. Virginie is his favorite. He refers to her as the Duchess. But Betty, he can't stand her. He calls her fat. He calls her ugly. He threatens her and also her mother repeatedly. Like there was this incident where he found a cigarette butt, just to give you an idea of like who he is. He finds a cigarette butt on the ground where they live, and he's like, which one of you is smoking? So he like takes them to the woods and just holds like a rifle to their faces. Betty and the mother, that is, not the Duchess, Virginie. Also, if you're wondering like where are the sons in this story, he actually makes them live in a shed on the property, totally separate. They're not allowed to be in the main house, and he does that for 2 reasons. One is because he wants to keep the sons in the dark regarding the repeated rapes of the daughters, but also because he's very jealous. He doesn't want any male competition in the house where he's living with his wife and his daughters. So he just keeps the sons away, annexed down at the shed. Anyways, fast forward to the year 2000. Betty, the younger sister, is 16. Virginie is now 21. And Dennis decides to make Virginie, his daughter, the main woman of the household. So his wife, Lawrence, let's get that chart up again. His wife, Lawrence, is now relegated, kind of. He's like kind of treating her like she's maybe a daughter with Samantha. But Virginie, he takes her with him everywhere. Of course, they're not officially married on paper, but she's the woman of the household. He takes her to work every day at the automobile garage. She's also especially gifted when it comes to mechanics and engineering. And about a year later, Virginie, his daughter, falls pregnant with his child. And since she's the favorite, he lets her keep the child. So if you're following now, Virginie, his daughter, is about to give birth to his son. So he's the grandfather and the father of Nicholas, who you're seeing at the bottom here on this chart. She gives birth to a boy named Nicholas in 2002. It's gonna get crazier. Betty, the younger sister, then turns 18, and she had tried to run away a few times when she was younger. You know, this is the sister that he shames. But by 18, she is able to escape, and she rings the alarm publicly. She files a complaint with the police, She says, me and my sister have been repeatedly raped by my father from the time that I was 8 years old. We have been suffering at his hands. And the driving factor for what drives her into the police's arms is that she was fearful that her sister, the youngest one, Samantha, who at that time is just 4 years old, is going to suffer the same fate. So she finds the courage to report this. She tells the police that her mother, by the way, Lawrence, is complicit, and that sometimes her mother would plan these things and partake in them. I mean, it's really terrible, disgusting stuff, okay? Suffice it to say that Dennis and Lawrence are of course arrested, the mother and the father, and they are imprisoned until 2004, when their lawyers are able to secure their release until after the trial and the sentencing. And guess who gets brought into this legal team? Okay, Eric Dupont Moretti. Guy thinks I'm like colluding with Russia and taking instructions while I'm on a pilgrimage. Now, Dennis is his client. The father is his client. Dennis is a bit of a psycho, you might imagine. Despite being released and given instructions that he has to stay away from his daughter, he violates that because he just wants to be around Virginia. He's a little obsessed with Virginia, and he immediately begins asserting control over the family again. Now, if you're Eric, this isn't good for the lawyers unless you come up with something, a way to refashion what is happening in this family, right? And Eric Dupont Moretti is up for the task. Him and another lawyer that he's working with, Hubert Delarue, begin to spin everything that's happening as a tale of, wait for it, happy incest. Yeah, he is known, by the way, this guy Eric, as an ogre in France, the ogre of France. Because of this, he spins it as happy incest. He explains to the daughter that they need to get behind this idea, right? We're going to sell to the courts that you guys are a happily incestuous family. This is all consensual. So eventually the parents are sentenced to 8 years in prison for their crimes, but Eric Dupont fights for their sentences to be reduced in the appellate courts. He does this by getting Betty, the sister, to backtrack on her allegations. She suddenly is telling the appellate court that she was simply jealous of her sister, Virginie. She retracts her earlier claim of the father having raped her and instead says that her father and her sister, Virginie, were incestuous consensually. Now, I should also mention that this is all taking place in Amiens. Yeah, sorry guys. Amiens, yeah, where Macron was born and raised, and where Brigitte Macron was born and raised. They are the appellate court that is holding this trial that Eric Dumont is trying to convince about happy incest anyways. And he's looking at this court and he explains to them, to the court that this is actually a case of extraordinary love. Extraordinary love. I'm wondering if this is going to be part of the tactics that were used when Brigitte and Emmanuel come here for their case. Extraordinary love. That's what we did learn, actually. They were an extraordinary case. It was a teacher and a student, and this was so compelling, extraordinary. Anyways, let me not get lost here. It works. The sentence is then reduced, consequentially, during the appeal trial in Amiens to just 5 years in prison, 3 of which he had already, which were suspended, Dennis Menachet had this suspended. His wife gets 1 more year than he does, which is kind of crazy, but that's because Eric Dupont Moretti also worked on this idea that really the wife is the one we should really be mad at because she wanted this relationship to take place. Now, if you're wondering why it is that Betty changed her story, it's because Virginie, her sister, begged her to, and her sister begged her to.
You have a message.
Of her son back. Yeah, throughout all of this, they took Nicholas, the son. And Eric and the lawyers are saying, well, I want to see your son again. Virginie is going to Betty. And Betty is like, please. And she's like, please, Betty, just change your testimony. I just want my son. I love my son. And so Betty agrees to do it. She acquiesces. This is going to be according to her own testimony later. Years later, Betty writes a book called It Wasn't Love, where she recounts specifically how Eric Dupont was a special kind of demon. I'm paraphrasing here, but he's the one that helped to craft this narrative of consensual incest. It was him. And she is outraged by the fact that he is now going to become the Justice Minister of France. Now, if you're wondering about what happened thereafter to Virginie, it turns out that Eric maybe had it wrong. The incest was actually not that happy. The story ends quite tragically. After being allowed to return to Virginie, thanks to the Amiens appellate court, Dennis is being judicially monitored, and Virginie reports that she is fearful and terrified of her father, fearful that he has it within him to kill her. Fast forward to September of 2014, and Virginie works up the courage to leave her father with her son Nicholas. She escapes, and Nicholas is her motivation. He's older now. She does this through a private organization that helps people that are impoverished plan their escapes. Thereafter, her employer, somebody that she works at the garage with, decides to help out. His name is Frederick Piard, and he houses her and her son. Dennis, throughout this, is hunting Virginie, right? Because he loves her. He loves his daughter, if that's what we're calling love. And on October 7th, 2014, after following her to Frederick's garage, he first shoots Frederick dead, then he shoots his daughter, Virginie, dead, and then he turns the gun on himself. Frederick Piard obviously dies. Dennis Monachet miraculously survives. It's a botched suicide attempt, but then he is disabled. Years later, he appears at the new trial, now this time for a double murder. He's in a wheelchair. He's speaking through a type pad. I mean, how's that for happy incest? But you do have to imagine Betty's surprise when she learns years later that that lawyer, who she felt had really masterminded this whole happy incest thing in Amiens, was selected by a couple from Amiens, no less, to become the Minister of Justice for the entire country of France. And not only that, but while he's the Minister of Justice of France, similarly, Emmanuel Macron, remember when Emmanuel Macron gave that Legion of Honor award to Patrick Buey, the person who worked on Brigitte's face? Well, he also gives a Legion of Honor award to, and we have a picture here, Hubert Delarue. There's the Minister of France buckling it onto him, putting it onto him, the lawyer who worked alongside Moretti to come up with the happy incest. He gets one too. Everybody gets a Legion of Honor. Everybody gets a Legion of Honor that's doing good stuff for, I guess, the aims of the Macrons. Now, again, like if you are a person, you might be thinking, oh, this could just be one case. That's what defense attorneys are supposed to do. No, you're like way off. Okay, it's never that when it comes to Emmanuel and Brigitte. It's always a pattern that's emerging. And certainly for Eric, he has a very unique skill set. He's interested in a very unique set of circumstances. Incest, pedophilia. And I'm going to tell you another crazy story when we get back just from me mentioning our sponsors.
You have a message.
Things to do. Somehow I'm still trying to show up as my best self. That's why I like to start my day with Dose. Dose is this powerful all-in-one wellness shot that helps support gut health, immunity, energy, and all the stuff that really matters when you don't have time to slow down. And let's be honest, when you've got a big family, slowing down isn't really an option. It takes me literally 5 seconds in the morning, and I feel the difference all day long. Dose for Your Liver was formulated to cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid digestion, and maintain your body's filter. Dose's clinical results showed lowering liver enzyme levels by 50% in most of their participants. One shot of Dose for Your Liver is equivalent to 17 shots of turmeric juice. Dose is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, and vegan. Stick with Dose and you will feel incredible benefits over time. More energy, better digestion, reduced bloating, healthier liver enzyme function, reduction in brain fog, better sleep. Right now, you can save 30% off on your first month subscription by going to dosedaily.com/Candace or by entering code Candace at checkout. That's dosedaily.co. Again, that's dosedaily.co/Candace or by using code Candace for 30% off your first month subscription. Also reminding you guys about 7 Weeks Coffee. You know I drink 7 Weeks Coffee. They're America's pro-life coffee company. They're on a mission.
You have a message.
Over $1 million donated to the pro-life movement. Now, you know why they're called 7 Weeks Coffee. It's because 7 weeks A baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time that a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across all 50 states, providing life-saving ultrasounds, resources for moms in need, and hope for families. And it all started with just one simple idea: why not use your morning coffee to stand for life? 7 Weeks Coffee is more than a great tasting coffee. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low-acid, organically farmed. It checks all the boxes. So go ahead and head to 7weekscoffee.com and you'll save 15% forever when you subscribe, and you'll also get a free gift. Plus, exclusively for my listeners, if you use code Candace at checkout, you'll get an extra 10% off, which means a 25% total savings on your first order, plus a free gift. Remember that your order is going to go directly to helping support a network of over 1,000 pro-life organizations across the U.S. So go ahead and visit 7weekscoffee.com today. Use promo code Candace at checkout.
You have a message.
Is that someone in the chat, definitely one of like Brigitte's minions, Brigitte's dragons. It's like, you're going to talk about the Outreau case. I hadn't even gotten to that case, actually, because there's just so many to choose from. But now we're going to talk about the Outreau case. They're like, no, you can't. It doesn't matter what lawyers defend. Oh, but it's also interesting, isn't it? It's all so interesting. And I got to tell you, one of the things that really stands out to me about the Monochet affair, and you can go look into this yourself, Dennis Monochet affair, is the familiar locations. Amiens, the birthplace of the Macrons, Brigitte and Emmanuel. Then there's Pas-de-Calais, which he moves out to, which is like an hour away. Now, if Pas-de-Calais is sounding familiar to you, it's because that's where Emmanuel Macron, when we get into his biography, he almost ran for political office there. That's where he begins his career. But also where Brigitte begins her career as a press secretary of the Chamber of Commerce, before then radically deciding to become a teacher. Then she teaches Emmanuel. It's all very convoluted. They're just in the same place all the time.
He was 14.
Well, there was another case that took place in Pas-de-Calais, and I think this one, we're just going to go ahead here and pull up the Wikipedia and not get too much into the weeds here. But yes, the Outreau case refers to a criminal case of pedophilia, which took place between 1997 and 2000 in Outreau. Again, that's Pas-de-Calais. And it tells us here it was a long investigation which revealed an extensive pedophile network. Around 40 adults have been accused and around 50 children were potentially victims. Now, this wasn't just your average pedophilia because it was also incest. And it tells us that the trial took place in 2004. The criminal trial court in Pas-de-Calais, where 12 children were recognized to be victims of rape, sexual assault, corruption, minors, and pimping. 10 of the 17 accused adults are then sentenced to prison. But then there was this appeal trial that took place. And 6 of the 10 accused adults were acquitted, right? 4 of them not even having appealed. It says 4 having not even appealed, and yet they were acquitted. Who could have done that? Guys, it's Eric again, this guy. Oh my, Eric again. Not only did he get some of these adults acquitted, he also then did the most press. So they tried to like make these documentaries to make it seem like, oh, they were all, some of the parents were guilty of doing these things to their children. But, the other ones really were just swept up in all of it. If you scroll down, by the way, Skylar, to this Wikipedia section, go to the child victims viewpoint. I want to read that. When you get down there, it's like, I know it's pretty long, there's a lot happening. Here we go, the child victims viewpoint here. It says, with the 2023 release of a television series about the case on France 2, one of the victims, a child of the main family of the case, named Jonathan Delay, called for a boycott. He alleged that the series constituted media manipulation by presenting adults as being the first victims of this affair. The series does not show that certain children, including Jonathan Delay, remain convinced that some of the acquitted were in fact guilty. He goes on to read that during the hearing, the behavior of Eric Dupond-Moretti, lawyer for the Outreau acquitted, and later the French justice minister, is also called into question. According to a rumor that reappeared during the France 2 series, he terrorized a 7-year-old girl who, out of fear, urinated on herself. Now, I'm going to let you know that his name is familiar because it's also in Becoming Brigitte, the book written by Xavier Poussard, and he tells the case about what Eric Dupond-Moretti did as we talk about this orbit that just is around the Macrons. And actually, Eric Dupont-Moretti was denounced virulently by psychiatrists for his methods. So what happened was they got all these adults, they were guilty, and then he went in to question the children, right? And yeah, an expert psychiatrist named Gerard Lopez, during a hearing at the National Assembly, said this. He said, quote, "You know that Mr. Dupont-Moretti questioned a 7-year-old child in Saint Omer for 6 hours. He questioned a 7-year-old child for 6 hours, and he found that child's testimony to be inconsistent. This is what changed the Outreau trial. Remember that this was a case in which all of the children were recognized to be victims. All of them, 12 out of 12. So you see, a guy like Dupont-Moretti should not be tolerated. I'm an expert and he does not scare me. I've been an expert on the assize of courts for 30 years. But imagine a kid, imagine little Delay, who's been through horrors, with this bear, Eric Moretti, yelling at him. And the president saying nothing at all. End quote. Yeah, like I said, you can go through all of the cases that he decides to intervene on, and the arguments that he makes and how he makes them and how he gets to that and how he gets these sentences reduced and gets people off. Now in case you're like, Kaz, this is kind of weird. Like, you know, they're pedophilia, incest. Well, but at least we can say about Eric Moretti is none of these cases involve transgenderism. I'm kidding. Of course there's cases of transgenderism. Right now there's one going on. You can look this up. It's involving this Korean kid, Joachim Son-Forget. Joachim Son-Forget. Well, that's his old name. Now his name is, her name is Ava Forget. Long story short, I'm not going to get in details here. This is a Korean boy who's adopted by a Frenchman named Bernard Forget. And his adopted father right now is being accused of raping and sexually assaulting minors. Now, why is that relevant? Because Joachim, when he was Joachim, was working with Macron. He's got pictures with Alexander Benalla. He was considered, like, I guess in the context of America, we would call it like 30 under 30. This genius Korean kid. He was very much involved in the campaign, had a huge political future. Well, now he's Ava, and these are allegations. We're not going to get too deep in it, but he's calling out Eric Moretti. He's calling out a network of people that he says know some stuff, know about stuff that's happening in France. So what are we to make of all of this? What are we to make of the fact that it just seems too impossible of a task for the Macrons to find someone to represent them, to be around them, to fund them into office that does not have a story or defending a story, a person that involves these themes? I feel like they're laughing at us. I feel like this is like kinky for them. Like this is like an exhibitionist sport. Like they want to get caught. They just want to see how far they can push the envelope. Why would you then make this guy the justice minister? Is there nobody else available in France?
You'll be able to take it on.
And yeah, people rioted because of his track record.
I'll be gone before you wake up.
You have a message.
And you have the audacity. You have the audacity to put in your filing against me. How dare she imply that our network, the syndicate, what is the exact verbiage, Skylar? Oh, Owen supported these claims of violence and criminality with statements that the Macrons are surrounded by criminals, pedophiles, an extraordinary syndicate. Yeah, I would say the people that surround you are extraordinary. Brigitte, you can't even pick out a carpet without the person who designed the carpets getting swept up into a pedophile scandal. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, merci beaucoup. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I just didn't know. I had no idea. It's just everyone around us. It's not us. I don't know. Everyone around us is involved with these themes. And what's going on?
You got boxes too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. He was 14. Now we're saying 15. For lawsuit's sake. When you guys were first running, you said 17. Then it went down to 16. Now we're at 15. I think with this lawsuit, we're going to get you to 14 because that's the truth. Yeah, sure, Candace. Yeah, whatever. He was on stage. He was so beautiful. This boy, he was so intelligent. Yeah, I was like, I fell for this boy. We're going to be 14 and it's weird. Whatever. But no, me? No. There's nothing weird about me. Nothing weird about my wig. That's what they're doing.